Hello, this is a kind of spontaneous video, and I'm all cozied up in my my fluffy jumper. So I'm all nice and cozy because I wasn't, going out or doing anything or gonna have anyone see me, but now I am because I decided to just unpromptly make a video. I, yeah. So, I had a thought today because I've been thinking a lot about doing this video because a lot of the time when people talk about the like how to in terms of abuse is a lot of time how to leave the relationship, or we're talking about leaving that, and then once you're left it's like that's it, that's the conversation over kind of thing. And so in this video I wanted to go into the aftermath of leaving the abusive relationship, because as I believe, and I've heard a lot of times, I feel like it's an extremely crucial part of your recovery is right after you've left the abusive relationship. My personal opinion, I feel like you're way more likely to get things like PTSD or anything. You're way more likely to not be able to handle it if you don't handle the situation right as it has happened. It is just happened, then you can try to start dealing with it. Obviously you're not gonna deal with it right away. I'm not saying you have to completely recover within X amount of time afterwards of leaving. I'm just saying, start recovering right after, and try to, maybe follow this advice if you want. Obviously you don't have to, but I have some advice for what I think people should do. Mainly the reason I'm doing this video is because a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about is almost like warnings because of the way that my aftermath happened, or aftermaths. So a little backstory from me is the first time I left an abusive relationship. I've had two. It was with a partner. I left when I was just turned 17. I mean, the reason I go left is because technically I never left. They broke up with me over something not related to the abuse. Well, it was related to the abuse, but you know what I mean. It wasn't, the breakup wasn't directly because of the abuse that she put me through. So, which, it's not a situation you hear most about. A lot of the time you think about leaving an abusive relationship, you are literally choosing to leave because it is abusive, and that is not what happened in that relationship. Because I was in denial. I mean, I'm not gonna list off all the reasons I stayed, but that's the main one. I really was heavily in denial. And the second abusive relationship that I left was the second abusive relationship I left was a parent, a male parent. you know, they don't have a label anymore. And that was when I was 19. I think, yes, I was 19, and that was by moving out. So yeah, so that's kind of my background of, you know, vague, rough, you know, descriptions of me leaving, or, you know, the one of me not actually, you know, leaving, because I only technically left, like actively left the, I was gonna say the last one, but actually that was technically the first one, so they overlapping and you know, but yeah. So on to the first thing I want to talk about, I guess. So my first advice would, a lot of these are like loose advice, like I don't want to like be like, this is, you know, definitely something you should do, but you know, it's mainly like try to do this. So the first one is try to get out of denial and figure out what true love is. Now what I mean by that is, you know, try and like sort through in your mind or whatever what was abusive or toxic in this relationship, and you know, try and figure out what would not be, what would love look like, and this, you know, this kind of thing of what love looks like and what love is, it might seem extremely weird thing to try and like examine when you're not somebody that's grown up with abuse or have been in an abusive relationship, but it's something really important, and this can be, you know, looking up online. That's kind of what I did. And obviously this is more important for somebody that has grown up with abuse, because it's a lot harder to try and figure out, okay, well, what is normal then? Because you've grown up with it, so, you know, you think that's normal, that kind of thing. So try to, you know, get out of that denial and figure out what went wrong and what should not happen again, basically. So number 2 is support system. Yeah, this is not something I was good with. Yeah, so when I first left the abusive relationship, I did have friends, but I only really opened up to a little bit and to not that many people, and I was so in denial that it you know, there was not that support system there, because I wasn't able to, I was too in denial to get that support. So yeah, but the second time that I left an abusive relationship, I wouldn't say it's not my fault, but I also feel like I wish I did a little bit more, but I also can't blame myself there, because I did tell people, now I'm wondering, I'm like, should I say who? But anyway, I told people, and the people that I told were not supportive, let's just say that. And I wish, for example, that I had told my partner. You know what I mean? Like, that's one person that I did not tell, and he is supportive, like, now, but when it would have been most crucial, I had not told him. I actually don't remember telling him at all. It just feels like suddenly he knew. I don't know. I just don't remember telling him. But as I say, I wish I had, because I know, well, I know for a fact with hindsight that he would have been supportive because he is now. So yeah, so like I know it's like it's very difficult because obviously the people that were not supportive, I actually did expect them to be supportive, especially one of them, because something they had said prior made me think that they would be supportive, but they were not. So all I would say is that even though it's hard, if you tell someone and they're not supportive, try again if you can. Because I mean, eventually, hopefully, you'll find somebody that's supportive. It's not the best thing to say because I wish everyone would be supportive, but yeah. So just need to, I need to quickly keep checking my phone because that's where I've got all my notes written down. Yes. So this is about keeping in contact with them, which is don't. So I mean, obviously, like, you should try and, if they're like harassing you and trying to get in contact with you, block them. And which I should have done. And also do not meet up with them, which is something I really wish I had done, with both, because meeting up with the abusive partner, well, ex-partner at the time, after I'd left, it just made the abuse continue. So that's also a reason why it's left, because when the relationship ended, the abuse continued. Yeah, it's obviously not a safe situation, and I wish I didn't, so please don't do that. Also, in regards to the abusive parent, there was a lot of guilting, a lot of you don't come for them, come for us kind of thing, a lot of guilting, being actually manipulative themselves, using younger family members as a guilt and emotional kind of blackmail to try and get me to meet up in be in a social situation with my abuser. As hard as it may be, don't don't be in those social situations, and keep telling yourself, even if you don't believe it, because honestly it is true, all those guilting is just wrong, okay? No matter what they say, anything that they're using to guilt you with is not your fault. I mean, if anything, they should be blaming the abuser. That's a lot of it. I mean, if if they if they wanted you and your abuser to be in the same situation, they should be annoyed at the abuser for making it so that situation can't happen. You know what I mean? Don't try to not try. Don't try to don't try to like, don't try really hard to convince people that it happened. So yeah, like, you know, looking up abuse and showing them it and being like, look, they tick all these boxes, you know what I mean? Like, if somebody has decided that they're not going to believe you, or decided that they're not going to support you, which may sound like the same thing, but it's actually not, that you can't change that. Only they can change that, and it's unfortunate, but it happens. Like for me, I tried very hard to convince somebody that it happened, and I stopped when I realised that they believed it happened. They just, you know, were diminishing it, trying to like be like, that didn't happen, but they know it happened, kind of thing. You know, like pretending it's not there, like it's a thing that happened, but it doesn't matter anymore, like, you know, that kind of thing. So sometimes you just can't convince somebody that something's happened, especially when they actually do know that it happened and do believe you, but they just don't support you. Yes. Oh, the next one is consider telling people your story / writing down what happened. I actually have my little book here. I'm not going to show you what's actually written in it, but I've got all this. Well, okay, that was being. I flicked some empty pages there. I've got like this here. I'm trying to flick, but there's like not enough to flick. This is a bit awkward. Anyway, I've written down, like, I've got like sections for the two different people, and of written down everything I can remember. And honestly, I feel like it's so helpful to just have this, especially because with abuse, a lot of the time it can really affect your memory. And also, you can also invalidate your own trauma as well and be like, that's not as bad, or you know, things like that. And so if you're starting to forget what happened and you're also invalidating your trauma, you might start to like really, like, it might make the invalidation worse, because you're like, well, obviously it didn't happen if you don't remember it, which so anyway, it's a good thing to like have a little note of everything that you can remember. And also, apparently, something I learned, if you've written something down and something, you know, and you want to go to court, you can actually use it for evidence if it's like, you know, relevant, it makes sense. But anyway, so yeah, this little book of, you know, the things that those particular people did to me, actually, if something happens, could be good in court. So that's kind of good. So I've got that. And that's a particular situation that I'm being very vague about, which is making it probably sound very confusing. But that's not the point of this video. So yeah, and I don't know if I would ever go into all of this stuff on YouTube. I probably won't, because it's a lot, and also like, I want to be open, but that detail just seems unnecessary. But yeah, so I feel like, did I even explain my point much? Anyway, just in case I didn't explain my point, writing it down and like, or talking it through with people is so helpful to like, one, just like process it, but also like if you're writing it down for memory reasons, but like also like it's just like really like empowering to have it down. And like I said, like I think yesterday or something, it's also like really like empowering, and it's also like exposing them. Obviously, even though you know, a lot of the time when people are talking about exposing, it's like publicly online, but this is just like, you know, I've like shown this to like 2 people, but that's still like a little bit of exposing, because now those people know what they did, what not the other people, the abusive people did. The supportive people know what the abusive people did, yeah. Pronouns made that confusing. So yeah, I just find it really useful, and it's also really empowering, and it's gotten written down, and it's like, it's a kind of, it's just a solid thing now. Instead of just being all up here, it's like a solid thing. And it's good as well, because if you're talking it through with people as well, another good for that is if they're like people that, you know, loved ones that are around you, like a lot of the time, they can also help you like when you're just like in your recovery. Maybe they'll understand when you're like triggered by certain things. You know, it's really helpful. Yeah, and the last one is continue to try and recover and fight unhealthy coping mechanisms / people who don't understand. This last one is basically like, you have to continue your life, so try to do that while becoming healthier as time goes on, which might not be linear at all. It doesn't have to be. Like, don't freak out if, you know, your recovery isn't linear, because a lot of the time recovery of like anything is never linear. But yeah, so like what I mean by the last one is like, just when you're going through life, you're gonna, I mean, like, trauma changes you, like literally, the brain is literally different, and that's a lot. You know, and that's a physical thing, that's not just a mental thing, that's literally your brain changing. And so you're going to have to continue and like fight that, and like try and like, you know, because you're going to have like unhealthy coping mechanisms and stuff. You're going to have unhealthy thoughts, unhealthy, you know, it's just, you're gonna have unhealthy things. You know, maybe you have, you know, the voices in your head, not literal voices, I mean like, you know, just some people have like now I've confused it, because it's like I'm trying to make it clear that I don't mean like hallucinogenic, you're hearing voices. But yeah, like, you know, like the voices in your head that are telling you all these things, you're like, where's that coming from? It's probably from your abuser. Like, you know, from all the abuse, not actually your abuser. Your abuser's not in your head, but it's coming from, you know, the things that they told you, the things that made you believe about yourself, the things that they manipulated and stuff. And so you're gonna have to try and fight those thoughts. You know, if you do get things like PTSD, you're gonna have to try and recover from that. Like what I said about the people that don't understand, like, that's just, I really wish I could click a finger and make people just less ignorant, but you just can't. Like, there's always going to be people that are ridiculous, and they victim blame, or, you know, they say things like, oh, they can't have been abused because they did this, or it was this person, and that doesn't make sense, but it does. Like there's always gonna be people that just don't understand, and unfortunately, as an abuse victim slash a survivor, whichever words you want to use, that's just something that we kind of have to try and figure out how to deal with, until hopefully the world just stops being shit. But yeah, so this is a long ass video. Thanks for getting through it if you have. But yeah, I just want to reiterate the point that it is such an extremely crucial moment, just after you've left, and you really have to try and like love and support yourself, and treat yourself with some self-care, and you know try and like tell yourself you have been through something traumatic, and you need to be nice to yourself, because that's the most important thing. And yeah. Also, maybe a quick last spontaneous, bit of advice. Try and be open about what happened, like, not like literally like, not like completely open, but like just saying, yeah, I was in an abusive relationship, whatever kind of relationship that was. Try and be open about at least just that part, because I feel like it's a lot harder to like hold it in for so long. Like now it feels like I've been holding on to, like, I was gonna say a secret, but really like secrets, and for other people as well, the people that really shouldn't be, and it's not good. And it also would mean that people would be able to like reach out to you as well. You wouldn't just have to reach out to them. So like, try and consider being open about that. You don't even have to say what type of abuse, because obviously there's 3 types of abuse. Well, 3 types of abuse in like everyday relationships, because there's also like psychiatric abuse, but that's like particular to like mental health professionals, I think. But like in terms of like everyday relationships, there's like 3 types of abuse. And so you don't even have to say which one. But just being open about that would be beneficial to yourself, to your future self, and just consider it. And obviously, if you don't want to, you do not have to tell anyone you do not want to. You do not have to do anything. It's all up to you. That's the most important part, especially for abuse victims, because a lot of abuse is control. A lot of it is, you do things my way. And so it's good to, be empowered and do things like for you. I especially find doing things that they deliberately did not want me to do empowering, because that's great. It's a little like rebellious. But yeah, so like that's like something to think about. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna end this video here. I hope it's helpful. I just think it's a discussion that never gets done. And I think it does need to be, because I was not prepared. And I hope that you can be, if you are yourself going through, you know, just leaving or about to leave or hoping to leave an abusive relationship. So thanks guys for watching, and bye.